What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Boston Sports Summit. And man, has it been a good 2 weeks for the Patriots. There's definitely been some lows, but you know what? Doesn't matter. We came away with the win. We're going to the AFC Championship, baby. That's right. Houston, we're on to Denver. Come on. Oh, my gosh. It's been crazy. Yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't do my show last week. I got a little bit of sick, so, it is what it is. But regardless, hey, just glad to be back. And we're going to talk about a little bit of the Chargers, a lot of the Texans, and then maybe touch around, some other Boston sports in the meantime. But first, of course, we are going to talk the New England Patriots. What a game it was. What a game couple games, really. It has been. Obviously, going into the Chargers game, I had the game predicted. I thought we'd run away with it. It would be 41-24. And boy, could it have been the exact opposite of that game. Turned out to be a 16-3 game. I just figured our defense was good enough to stop them, and our offense would figure them out. That, kind of, not really. So, anyways, we did the job. We won the game. And just to go quickly through my grades for that game, I had A's with Robert Spillane, Milton Williams, Marcus Jones. I thought Milton Williams was a tone setter. With him back, he has been unbelievable. Followed up by B's, Caleb Von Chason, Christian Ellis, Andy Borregales, Ramondre Stevenson. Andy Borregales in his first playoff game, I should say, was perfect on the day. So, hey, can't beat that. I think that's a good thing. Ramondre Stevenson pounding the rock, doing what he does. So, again, I thought it was a good game by them. As for C's, Drake Maye, Carlton Davis, Travion Henderson. Again, Carlton Davis with a couple calls. Again, this is versus the Chargers. Travion Henderson had some good runs, but overall just wasn't very impressive. It felt like we were back to early season Travion. And then Drake Maye. Got to watch out for the fumbles. And that's obviously going to follow him into next week versus Texans, so we'll talk more about that. But as for D's and F's, D's, Garrett Bradbury, Austin Hooper, Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs was extremely quiet this week, or, against the wild card, I should say. And then Garrett Bradbury, one of the plays that went against Jared Wilson, it was, I thought, more Garrett Bradbury because he got blown up immediately, which Jared Wilson's guy ended up becoming a free rusher because it was a tackle stunt. So Garrett Bradbury's guy blew up Bradbury's left side, so he's going back to his left, took Jared Wilson completely out of the play because Jared Wilson was backing up, and then the tackle next to him just looped right around and had a free rush at Drake Maye. So that was D. And then F, obviously, Will Campbell, Jared Wilson. Listen, I think for them, it was a horrendous game overall. They definitely needed improvement. And, we'll talk a little bit about Will Campbell this week. But it's just, again, this is what happens when you're going against the top tier of defenses, and especially defensive lines, defensive edges. Hey, you got to be better. I understand you're rookies. I'm not, I'm not trying to come down too hard, but at the same time, hey, you know what you did, you know what you got. Let's move forward. So then, of course, we went up to play the Texans at home, and I initially had the comparisons basically saying we're the better offense, they're the better defense. I did have them as the slightly better special team only because, Kaimi Fairbairn is a, legit NFL kicker. He's been a veteran. He's been in the league for a while. And Tommy Townsend, former Florida Gator, but was the punter on the Kansas City Chiefs during their little bit of a run there. So, again, they know what they're doing, but that was basically it. And everybody, holy cow, was talking about oh, this Texans defense, blah, blah, blah. It's 85 Bears. It's the 2000 Ravens. This is what they are. Like, they, blah, 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 all that crap, right? Whereas if I did my show last week, and I kind of alluded to it, throughout Twitter and Instagram, the thing that in my mind this game really came down to was the Patriots defense versus the Texans offense. If Houston and CJ Stroud could figure us out, then we were going to be in real trouble. But if we did what we did on Sunday and disguised and confused and got after CJ, then it was really going to be that close game. It was really going to be tight. Just looking at the comparisons, obviously, quarterback-wise, Drake Maye, CJ Stroud, interesting statistics from CJ. He's really fallen off the cliff since his rookie year. And, whereas, again, we see what Drake Maye has been all season, 72%, 31 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, not really much to go there. Then much to go off of there. I mean, this is basically recapping what I would have done last week. But looking at it offensively, obviously for Houston, they ranked 14th in pass yards per game, 22nd in rush yards, and 13th in points scored per game, whereas the Pats defense obviously was 9th in pass yards per game, 6th rush yards allowed per game, and 4th in points allowed per game. Then you do the flip side, Patriots offense ranked 4th in pass yards per game, 6th in rush yards per game, 2nd in points per game. Then on the defensive side for the Texans, they ranked 6th in the NFL in pass yards allowed per game, 4th in rush yards allowed per game, and 2nd in points allowed per game. So I had the prediction being 23-13, turned out to be 28-16. So not terrible, not terribly. But the thing about that was, to me, I had a feeling, especially one of those first passes CJ Stroud had, it was almost a no-brainer that he wanted to give the ball away. That was like his goal. It's almost like it was predestined that CJ Stroud walked into this game as like, guys, I am done playing football for the 2025-26 season, so please, let's just hurry this up. I'm going to get rid of the ball, and let's just get the hell out of here, go back to Houston. I'm done. And sure enough, he almost kind of played like that. And, well, he did play like that. 4 interceptions in the first half. Not to mention friggin' Christian Gonzalez coming up with a massive, massive fumble. It was, I think at this point, they just scored 16, so it was a 5-point game, 21-16. And then Christian Gonzalez strips Nick Chubb as they're marching down the field. And once that happened, Houston's offense was dead. They were done. They were over. And don't get me wrong. I mean, my heart was beating out of my chest. Like, there was no relaxation during this game. Absolutely none. But it was still phenomenal. It was still a wicked fun game. And not for nothing, I know a lot of people are talking about how it was so sloppy. You had all the turnovers, 8+ turnovers combined. Like, that is unacceptable. The weather conditions were sloppy, blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what? This leads me to the point of how all the NFL teams are trying to build domes. Even today on Zolak and Bertrand, Robert Kraft talked about how he loves having an outdoor stadium and loves having teams from warm weather, from dome stadiums, come into Gillette and have to deal with the weather conditions. Now, of course, we have to deal with the same weather conditions, and that defense did not make it easy for us by any stretch of the imagination. But Give me what we saw on Sunday versus a track meet, a run up and down the field type game that we would have gotten had this game been in Houston. And again, it might not have even been a track meet. It still could have been this crappy of a game. The only difference would have been we would have no weather conditions. So I love the outdoor feel of it. And so tell me what your thoughts are. Do you want eventually the Patriots to build a dome? Because I don't. I don't. Comment down below. And don't forget to like, follow, subscribe to all three of the socials. So let's move on. We're going to go into, obviously, the game day grades for the divisional round, where we're starting off with A's. We got Marcus Jones, number 1, Milton Williams, number 2, and Kayshon Boutte, number 3. And again, they all get A's. It's not like A+, A minus. No. They're all A's. Because when you look at it, Milton Williams was just an absolute stud. He was extremely disruptive, even when he wasn't a part of the play. Perfect example, the Marcus Jones pick 6. If you rewatch that, you're going to see Milton Williams blow up the left tackle. Ursary. I keep wanting to say Erisy. He blows up Ursary so much so that Ursary has to fall back at least 3 yards, to the point where he trips Cade Stover, who's crossing and trying to run the flat. And because he does that, that left K'Lavon Chaisson to not even have to worry about the tight end, and he just booked it for Stroud. And when he did, that's when CJ found Hutchinson open over the middle, running a crosser, a deep cross, because he had at least 3 yards on Christian Gonzalez. But as Stroud was winding up, that's when Chaisson hit him. Ball goes up. Marcus Jones comes down with it. And then he just had great play strength to make it all the way to the end zone, even though Hutchinson ripped his face mask basically over the line. I'm glad Marcus was feeling all right after that, because that was a brutal face mask. One of the worst I've seen lately. So obviously that's 2 guys in one. You got Jones and Milton Williams. But obviously Kayshon Boutte, I mean, that clutch 32-yard one-handed reception was a thing of freaking beauty. And the funny part is he went against his LSU teammate in Derek Stingley, and he's done that twice now in 2 games. Last year, down the same sideline, Drake Maye floats it up, Boutte catches it on the run and scores a touchdown. Here, he has the same sideline, right up, has a step on him, and has to lay out. I mean, how beautiful was that? It was awesome. Great to see. So those guys get A's. And by the way, it's not that, I think they were outstanding in this game. There are 2 ways about it. But this was a massive team effort. Let's not forget about that. So we're going to start off with A's. We're going to move on to B's. So for the B's, I gave Kaylavon Chaisson, Craig Woodson, Carlton Davis III, and Christian Gonzalez. So, yes, even though I did say Christian Gonzalez did get beat, not for nothing, that strip sack I mentioned earlier against Nick Chubb was perfect timing. And even Troy Aikman said it. He was just ripping the lawnmower, ripping the lawnmower code, or code, cord. So, it was just the timing of that could not have been better. 21-16 game. Houston is marching down the field, just to have Christian Gonzalez rip the ball right out of Nick Chubb, who's a very good runner. I mean, you guys remember him in Cleveland and just how powerful he was, and basically their only good player out in Cleveland until really Myles Garrett turned it on. But that was huge, absolutely huge. And Christian Gonzalez led the team in tackles. That just showed you how into it he was. He wasn't afraid. He wasn't playing for his health. He wasn't playing for his next contract. No, he was committed to winning. And that's all that matters in this time of the year, winning. Also, I had Caleb Von Chase on 3 total tackles, 1 sack, 1 pass deflection, 4 quarterback hits. As I mentioned earlier, a key cog in that Marcus Jones interception. So Caleb Von, great game from him. Craig Woodson also had an interception and a fumble recovery that Christian Gonzalez forced. So Craig being all over the ball, that's huge. Carlton Davis, yes, he had 3 penalties against him, which what else is new? But one of them I thought was so soft. He barely touched the guy, barely hugged him, if that. And yet Houston's corners were mauling us, and no calls. But hey, we won, so not going to get on that. Otherwise, the 2 interceptions Carlton was having, like that first one where he came down on the knee, just it was awesome. It was so great. Carlton had a great game, and then not for nothing too. As I mentioned, like this wasn't just a one-man or a one-man show with the A's, the B's. I have some honorable mentions who deserve to be in that top tier, A's, B's. You got Kyrus Tonga, big sack near the end of the game. Ramondre Stevenson just running 8 yards a carry. That 6-minute drive in the fourth quarter was clutch. Stephon Diggs obviously had a phenomenal touchdown grab where he had the wherewithal and body control to, as he's falling down, ball in his hands to just pull it up like crazy. So Stephon Diggs, Pop Douglas opened the game with that 28-yard touchdown. Robert Spillane, Christian Ellis, and a guy who I haven't heard a lot over the last couple of days when talking about this game, Bryce Behringer. Bryce Behringer had to punt the ball quite often on Sunday and had to flip field position a number of times, including that massive sack, strip sack against Drake Maye, where, thank God, Will Campbell was able to finally jump on the ball at our 2-yard line to create a 4th down. So Bryce barely had any room to get the punt off, and yet he does and absolutely flips the field for our defense. So I thought all of those guys had excellent games. And so now this brings me on to now the average game, which is the letter C. So that I gave to Drake Maye. And it's probably no surprise to you, but it might be a little bit of a surprise. You might be saying 10, that's too high. Drake Maye sucked. He had 4 fumbles, gave away 2 of them. And while I wholeheartedly agree with you, there are just a few things I do want to talk about. So first of all, going back to last week's game against the Chargers, Drake Maye is one of 2 players to throw for 260-plus yards on the Chargers this season. 1 of 2. Then, now to this week, Drake Maye is 1 of 2 players to have thrown 3 passing touchdowns against the Texans defense this season. When you look at what the Texans have done against some of the top quarterbacks in the league, here's a good example of it. So, Texans in the top left beat Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes, held Patrick Mahomes to 160 yards. He was 14 of 33 for 3 picks, and this was before he tore his ACL. Then against Josh Allen in the regular season, where they lost to Davis Mills, the backup for the Texans, Josh Allen was 24 of 34 for two picks and 253 passing yards. Against Justin Herbert, who is a great regular season quarterback, Herbert was 21 of 32, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, and only scored 16 points. But for Drake Maye against this defense was 16 of 27, 3 touchdowns, and an interception that honestly should be like the NBA's half court buzzer shot. It doesn't count. It was a Hail Mary attempt to end the half. The fact that it's on there is kind of it's a fake interception in my opinion. But Drake Maye did not have a clean game by any stretch of the imagination against this Texans defense. And that's exactly how I thought this was going to go. Like, I did not think this Texans defense was a pushover. Not by any stretch of the imagination. You know, going against guys like Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter as your edge guys, that's a lethal combination to be having to worry about your right and left side of the line just with those two guys alone. Having Morgan Moses and Will Campbell one-on-one, it's crazy. Not to mention, you kind of have to leave at least one of, if not both of them, on an island during certain plays. So, yeah, I mean, was it a good game? No. Drake Maye, 59% completion percentage, $179, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, but his passer rating was 100.7. WZLX. No, but 100.7. And even though he did have 4 fumbles and lost 2 of them, luckily the ball bounced in our favor on 2 of those, especially the one that I mentioned that ended up at the 2-yard line. So that was tough. But then when you break down Drake Maye's second half between the Chargers and between the Texans, look at this. Drake Maye in the second half versus the Chargers, 11 of 14, 79 completion percentage, 173 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks, a 142 passer rating. Versus Houston, 6 of 8, 75% completion percentage, 62 pass yards, 1 touchdown, no picks, a 136.46 passer rating, 136.5 passer rating. Say what you want, and listen, I want and need Drake Maye to get better at getting rid of the ball faster, at understanding that sometimes that getting rid of the ball faster is your own form of offensive line protection. Again, you remember how in the 2018 divisional round against the Chargers, you had Joey Bosa mic'd up, coming around the edge, trying to get after Tom Brady, but on Bosa's like 3rd step, the ball is already out of Brady's hands. Like, it was bang, bang. And again, that was, 40-plus-year-old Brady, to 23-year-old Drake Maye. I get it. I'm not trying to be that guy. I'm just saying, this is a thing that Drake Maye is going to have to learn throughout his career. And he has to understand that when you're going against a top-tier defense like that, and Josh should have known that and knows that, and tried to get the ball out quicker for Drake, but the Texans were all over it. Some of those screen passes were kind of ridiculous in my opinion. I'm looking at it going, what are we doing? I was questioning the play calling a couple of times. Not to say I'm a play calling expert. Don't even get me started on that. I'm just saying. I was looking at it going, what are we doing? Can we run the ball? Can we, move the ball forward? There were 9 drives that we did not get a first down. 9. That's crazy. And so, listen, I'm not bashing Josh. I'm not bashing Drake or the offense, because this was an elite defense, and yet we were still able to score 21 points on offense versus them. I'm just saying, like, you know what? I will say that, hey, it wasn't great. It wasn't perfect. We were able to come away with the victory, which is, at the end of the day, all that really matters, especially now more than ever. But Drake, I was really surprised that he is still fumbling the football. Usually that's something that it happened to him against the Chargers, and it was going to be like, okay, Drake Maye is going to learn. We're not going to have to worry about that against the Texans. We might have to worry about some other things, but that's not going to be one of them. Well, it turned out it was, because holding the ball against Will Anderson for 3 seconds led to a strip sack. Like, it led to Drake Maye's back here, Will Anderson, bam. Like, that's how it was. So, overall, though, the second half redemption from Drake Maye. I mean, overall, outside of the fumbles, Drake Maye had a fine game. When you go against a defense like that, it's okay. It's all right. So, now we're going to move on to the D grade, which I gave to Michael Onwenu. I thought, again, the O-line was going against some damn good front seven guys. Okay, especially Sheldon Rankins, who is not mentioned much because you have Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson, on either side there, but up the middle, Sheldon Rankins. And if you watch the booty play, the booty touchdown, Mike Onwenu was almost allowed a sack on that. If Drake Maye held that ball for another second, that probably would have gone down as a sack, and it would have been Onwenu's fault. But luckily, the whole thing worked out. Drake Maye looked left, turned right. There goes the ball. Touchdown. One hand. Booty. Done. Easy. So, and then finally, for Fs, Will Campbell, Kyle Williams, and again, I get it. Will Campbell is a rookie. He's going against he's going against the second best NFL defensive player, or the second best defensive player in the NFL, if you're going to say it right. But, so, again, it's okay. Will Anderson has been around for a couple of years. He's got that strength training program. He's got the moves. He was training with Myles Garrett during the offseason. I heard some of the Texans fan bitching after the game, So they were saying that. And Will Campbell has come in. He's a rookie. He still has a lot to learn, obviously. And there are some things, some probably technique that he needs to work on, and he knows that. I mean, hell, after the game, it almost felt like we lost listening to him talk. As the way he's coming across. So he's pissed off, obviously. And, that's where I look at it going, okay, it's all right. Let's pump the brakes. You were going against Will Anderson. I'm not letting you off the hook because that's why you earned an F. But at the same time, it's like, all right, take that, learn from it, move on. Kyle Williams, no catches, 3 targets, 1 bad drop. It was not a good game from him, rookie wide receiver. So those are the game day grades. I do want to talk about ESPN for just a minute, and not even just ESPN, but how the Patriots are being portrayed nationally. Now, I've been on the show a number of times talking about how much of an easy schedule we have. And we do. It was the easiest of the millennium. Not even close. But here's the thing, though. It's all right. Because we have beaten the Chargers. We have beaten the Texans. Yet, the national media all of a sudden wants to talk up the Chargers defense, wants to talk up the Texans defense, and how quickly they forget. So, first, I'm going to show you the piece from Good Morning America today, with Kyle Brandt talking about how the Texans, that the Patriots have an easy schedule and are having a cakewalk all the way to the Super Bowl. Take a listen to this nonsense.
Think about now, if you're a Patriots fan, you just had this strange, first of all, in the last week, you kicked the crap out of the Chargers, who didn't really show up. Now you have the C.J. Stroud nightmare game, and now you go against Jarrett Stidham. It's a very strange path. Some might say it's a very wonderful path, a primrose path even. But if you weren't one of those people saying the Patriots didn't play anybody in the regular season, are you saying it about the postseason too?
This isn't helping.
Because there's also a Super Bowl Sam Darnold joke that I want to make, but I don't. That's how good Seattle looked.
Hey.
But Has anybody ever won the Super Bowl and not played anybody? That's ridiculous. Is that where we're at right now?
What is he even talking about? Because during the regular season, Justin Herbert's a very good quarterback. Yes, he hasn't been able to get it done in the postseason. Yes, Jim Harbaugh seemed to be out to lunch last week when calling the game and dealing with all of that. And then this week, yes, CJ Stroud had a horrendous game against Pittsburgh last Monday night, followed up by arguably one of the worst performances of all time, seeing as he had a 28 passer rating. That's right, 2.8 passer rating, which, by the way, I did the math. If you go 0 for 30 with no touchdowns and no interceptions, you have a 39.6 passer rating. So that's, if he didn't even make the bare minimum. He did less than that. And which to me is like, okay, yeah, you went up against playoff Herbert, you went up against CJ Stroud, but there's a lot of other factors to go along with that, because what he just said is absolutely downplaying how elite our defense has been playing this postseason. When you look at the numbers, I've seen a couple, but either way, you're off by 6. Big deal. When I first saw the numbers after the game on Sunday, in 2 games, the Patriots defense has 66 pressures. 66. Then today I saw on Twitter, PFF came out with their numbers, and they gave us 72 pressures. Like, holy crap. Are you kidding me? To be able to get after the quarterback the way we have has been unbelievable. And for them to sit there and say, oh, well, we've played nobody. Yeah, well, take a look at what ESPN and their ridiculous panel of NFL Live people had to say going into this game. And I'm going to talk about their reaction afterwards, but look at this nonsense.
Picks in this one, I got to say, I was surprised. We are all.
No way.
No way. Oh, no.
Change mine.
Change mine. I know. Once the gong is in, it's fine.
What?
Nico
None
Collins
of y'all
isn't
took New
playing.
England. No. Lydell got my paper wrong.
Mina's gone.
Lydell, did you get my paper?
Mina,
It says right here. It says right here.
Bad.
Ryan told
This
Lydell
is so close.
the Patriots. No, it says
no,
it.
it doesn't.
Hannah, it says
I thought when
right
Nico
there.
Collins was ruled
can't
out,
see
everybody
it.
would change it but me. I hate this.
I know. Oh my gosh, you guys, the Texans.
This is
You know what, that was going on for like another 20 plus seconds. I had to stop it. It was literally one of the most cringiest videos I think I've seen on the internet, let alone television, because the way they reacted. Now listen, do you want to be the team that gets picked in a sweep like that? You have a panel, whether it's on NFL Live, whether it's on NFL Network, Fox, CBS, whatever. Do you want to have your team clean sweep like that? No, not necessarily, because then the other team can look at that and say, okay, we're coming at you now. We're going to prove you wrong. But their reactions were so just awful. The fact that each one of those 5 ESPN NFL Live analysts, Mina Kimes, Ryan Clark, Hannah Storm, Dan Orlovsky, Marcus Spears, they all cowered. Not one of them felt a single conviction behind their pick, which, I'm sorry, your goal when you're doing those picks is to determine who, in your mind, who the winner is. So when you throw that pick out there, when you say, hey, I'm taking the Texans over the Patriots, even without Nico Collins, even without Trent Brown, even, the fact they lost Dalton Schultz in the middle of the game, but that defense is so much better. It's so much more elite, blah, blah, blah. Then fine. Stick to your guns. Stick to it. It's so cringy and ridiculous how they're all like, oh no, oh, don't look at me. Oh, this is awful. Oh, like, what are you? A friggin' soap opera? Is this a soap opera? Is ESPN now the soap opera of sports? Come on. Pick your team, stick to your guns, and you know what? If it's a clean sweep, then yeah, tell them why each one of you believe that and say, yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be close, but at the end of the day, we think X is better than Y. That drove me nuts. And listening to it, again, I cut that clip off at 30 seconds flat because there was still another 31 seconds after that. It was just so cringy, so bad. And not for nothing, thank you. Thank you for giving the Patriots that little piece of ammunition that we needed, because we know that down at Gillette Stadium at One Patriot Place, that TV was on. They had that. This
one, I gotta say, I was surprised.
Had that exact image posted all throughout the locker room, all throughout the tunnel, because it was those five that gave the Patriots that extra motivation to go out and beat Houston on Sunday. Get over yourselves. I mean, come on. Have a freaking spine. And not for nothing, the only two people I like on there are Marcus Spears and Dan Orlovsky. Dan Orlovsky sometimes has takes that are just freaking out there. But it's like, for all that is good, just have a freaking spine, will you? So, that to me, and now the funny part is, now watch, this week, where these guys are going to pick a clean sweep of the Patriots to beat Denver on Sunday just to get back at us, right? It's exactly how it's going to happen. It's, it's little things like that I'm sitting there going, what are you doing? Like, that's not what makes good television. So, now I want to get on to the Denver game because, let's be honest, this is the AFC Championship game. That's all we care about. And this is coming into my second year of doing this show, the second season of Patriots football I have since starting the show. I'm in the AFC Championship. Like, let's go, baby. Come on. Gotta love it. So, we got Patriots flying out to Denver to go to Empower Field at Mile High to take on the Broncos, who are without Bo Nix on Sunday. And I do have a comment here, so I just want to pull that up because from a Broncos fan at Sweaty Betty 456. Broncos fan here, hoping that we can keep it tight so Stiddy can just game manage and pull out a dub. Hashtag Broncos country. Well, I hate to break it to you, but that ain't happening. That's not how we roll. This is the AFC Championship. This is Patriot territory. Because, by the fun fact, every single AFC Championship game since 2011 has either had the Patriots or Chiefs in it. This is our game. Rename that Lamar Hunt Trophy the New England Patriot AFC Championship Trophy. Otherwise, listen, it's going to be a really close game. And like I said, Jarrett Stidham, our draft pick from 2019, is getting the start in this game because Bo Nix broke his ankle against Buffalo in the second to last play of the game, or last play of the game, or overtime, something like that. Well, what I just said is exactly the same thing. What I mean by that is just how, Bo Nix basically broke his ankle in overtime. Okay, there it is. Done. Needless to say, Jarrett Stidham has not thrown a live pass in basically 3 years. The last time that man has played in a game was January 7th, 2024. All right, so it's been 2 years. It's been over 2 years since he's played in an actual game. And when you look at playoff-ready quarterbacks, basically quarterbacks who are making their first start in the playoffs, what a list this is. Started in 1972, Roger Staubach, which, fun fact, Roger Staubach was the starting quarterback for the Cowboys the year prior and made a deep run in the year prior. But then the following year was benched, didn't play, hurt, and then started in the NFC Championship game. And the Cowboys ended up losing. Then in 83, in the divisional round, Gary Danielson played for the Lions. They lost. In 92, in the wild card game, Frank Reich went on to complete the largest comeback in NFL playoff history, taking down the Oilers up in Buffalo. Then in 2012, Joe Webb filled in for the Vikings at the 2012 wild card. They lost. Connor Cook filled in for the Raiders in 2016 wild card game, and they lost. Taylor Heineke filled in for the Commanders in 2020, that wild card game, and they lost. So basically, it took a miraculous comeback, the largest comeback in NFL playoff history, for a quarterback to make their first start in the playoffs and win. Now, football is a team sport. The Broncos have a very good team. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Because when I pull up the positional comparisons, I'm looking at it like this. Obviously, the Patriots have the better quarterback, and not for nothing, even if Bo Nix was there, I would still take Drake Maye over Bo Nix. Then the running back room. You have R.J. Harvey for the Broncos, a rookie, and Jaleel McLaughlin for the Broncos, whereas I would take Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson. Wide receivers, I like our guys better than them. The only guy I'm afraid of is Courtland Sutton. I know Troy Franklin is really good coming out of Oregon. Broncos have some fast guys, but we could get Mac Hollins back. So we could have a full complement of receivers, and maybe this is a bias, but I kind of like our guys. Also, when it comes to the tight ends, give me Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper over Evan Ingram. As for the O-line, Broncos have a very good O-line. It's going to be interesting to see if their center can play on Sunday. But D-line, I do like our D-line better than the Broncos. Otherwise, at linebacker, DB, special teams, I would take theirs. Patrick Surtain, I think, is extremely good. But that doesn't mean, let's put it this way. I would have Patrick Surtain and Christian Gonzalez an absolute wash. I love Marcus Jones. I love Carlton Davis. Denver just has been really good. And with Carlton Davis getting these bad PI calls, yes, he came up with 2 interceptions. What a better time to get an interception, your first 2 interceptions in a Patriot uniform on Sunday. But like I said, I kind of lean that way. Not by much, but just enough. And then obviously looking at the quarterback comparison, which is what I usually do, but this was very tough to find. Well, it wasn't tough to find. It was just career games. Otherwise, Drake Maye. I totally forgot to edit that. Regardless, it's all right. Drake Maye, that's the seasonal comparison. The only one I worry about is Jarrett Stidham. 20 career games, 1,422 career pass yards, a career completion percentage of sub 60, a career TD to interception of 8 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and a passer rating of 78.3. So basically, and Jarrett Stidham has not played enough to give himself a legit QBR rating. That's why it's 0.00. And then looking at the teams, obviously we got the Patriots offense versus the Broncos defense. As I mentioned earlier, with the Pats, We ranked 4th on offense, 6th on 4th in pass yards per game, 6th in rush yards per game, and 2nd in points per game. Whereas the Broncos defense ranked 7th in pass yards allowed per game at 187.2. The Broncos were 2nd in rush yards allowed per game at 91.1, and 3rd in points allowed per game at 18.3. And then when you look at the Patriots defense, obviously I mentioned earlier, we were 9th in pass yards allowed, 6th in rush yards allowed per game, and 4th in points per game. Then you look at the Broncos offense with Bo Nix. They were 11th in pass yards per game at 223.9, 16th in rush yards per game at 118.7, and then 14th in points per game at 23.6. Now, this game is going to be interesting. Because as I said last week, this is not going to be decided by the Patriots offense versus the Broncos defense. The reason why I say that is because you could argue the Denver defense may be fraudulent. The Denver defense may be fraudulent. Now you're thinking to yourself, well, why would you say that? What, is it because they had an easy schedule too? Yeah, that's part of it. Not to mention, they went against Geno Smith twice, Cam Ward, Justin Fields, Marcus Mariota, who was that close to beating them, and Jake freaking Browning of the Bengals. So they went against some pretty damn soft competition. And when they faced 3 top 10 offenses in terms of points scored, the Broncos were 1-2 and gave up 29 points per game. They gave up 29 points to Indy and Indianapolis. They gave up 24 points at home at Mile High, and they won that game. And they gave up 34 points in Denver to Jacksonville, and they got killed. Trevor Lawrence had a freaking field day with that defense. And then when they faced 4 top 15 offenses, they faced 4 top 15 offenses, but the Bengals had Jake Browning. So, one of those, right? If only. Then, obviously, when it comes to the turnover stats, New England was 10th with a +3 turnover differential. Denver was actually 20th with a -3 turnover differential. Denver had 10 picks, 4 fumble recoveries, but gave up 11 interceptions and gave up 6 fumbles. Then when you come to the playoff turnovers, obviously it's been 1 game for Denver, 2 for us. The Pats are +1. The Broncos are obviously +4. Josh Allen was horrendous on Saturday, giving up the ball. And honestly, the worst turnover that he had was that fumble right before the half where he was just freewheeling it. I don't know what he was thinking, just to then basically give Denver a free field goal and give them 10 points like that. Denver scored a touchdown. Josh Allen acts like an idiot, fumbles the ball. Denver gets it at Buffalo's 36, I think, something like that, just to kick a field goal, and there you go. 10 points right there. So again, as long as New England is smart, as long as New England doesn't do anything stupid, doesn't overthink themselves, doesn't get too crazy, make sure they clean up their act. Drake Maye, get rid of the ball faster. Stop trying to be the home run hitter. If you got a dink and dunk, do it. If you got to get rid of the ball. As good as our O-line is, it's clearly not our strength, but it can be done. The fact that we're going against a backup in Jarrett Stidham, it would be a bad loss. I think it would be. And listen, I don't think Jarrett Stidham's going to beat us. It's not. It's weird. God forbid we lose. God forbid the Patriots lose on Sunday. It's going to be us, the altitude, and the noise. That's it. That's really what it comes down to. But ultimately, I like our chances. I think we have a shot to win, which is why my prediction for this game is we are going to win. The Patriots are going to win 27-13. We're going to go into Mile High. We're going to avenge our demons, and we're going to take home the AFC Championship with a trip to Santa Clara to this year's Super Bowl, Super Bowl 60. And Drake Maye is going to be that guy. Why? Because it's going to be around 50 degrees and sunny. No inclement weather. No, opportunities for that. No bad things for that. So, listen, I like it. I think it's going to be a good game. I don't look past this Denver defense. I don't. I think they are a very good defense. Have they benefited from some quarterback luck and some bad teams and an easy schedule? Yeah. That's why they're 14-3. Like, this isn't that hard. And it's okay. It is. I still take that team seriously. I still take Nick Bonito seriously. I take Patrick Surtain very seriously. And the only thing is, can we get after Jarrett Stidham? Jarrett Stidham is not a scrambling type of quarterback. He's not Bo Nix. He's not going to run around and go all crazy. And he's got a completely different offensive style than Bo Nix. What is Jarrett Stidham going to look like? Is Sean Payton's offense going to adjust? Are they going to try to have Stidham run with the football? That would be foolish if they did. But I think they have to modify that offense almost completely in order to fit what Jarrett Stidham can do. And I'm not saying Sean Payton can't do that. Sean Payton's a great offensive mind. But right here, right now, with everything that's going on, give me the Patriots to go to Super Bowl 60. Let's go. Oh, my God. It's going to be exciting. I'm so pumped for Sunday's game. And my heart's probably going to be beating out of my chest. Probably going to have to, calm down. So, I'm just excited. It's going to be fun. Who's not going to love this game? Hopefully, we will love this game because that will mean we won. All right, moving on. I'm going to talk just probably a brief few minutes about this. The Boston Red Sox. Again, I wish I could have talked about this last week, but I just have to say my piece. Again, I was on here 2 weeks ago saying how the report that came out talking that the Red Sox were in the ballpark of 171 in 6 years, I thought was laughable. And sure enough, it freaking was. This team just doesn't understand their market. They don't understand the fans. And not for nothing, they don't care to. That's the worst part about it, is you're going to have Sam Kennedy walk his lion ass up to the stadium, up to the podium every single year and say crap like this.
If you think for 1 second that we aren't passionate, committed, dedicated to the Boston Red Sox, you're wrong, you're a liar, and I'll correct you on it because it's total BS. Talk is cheap right now, words are hollow, but that's what we're gonna work on this offseason.
And he doesn't care. He doesn't care that he's lying through his teeth, that there is crap coming out of his mouth. His teeth are brown stained because of all the crap he's spewing. It's kind of disgusting there, Sam. You might want to get a toothbrush. Like, come on. Like, it's just the fact that Alex Bregman went to the Cubs and gave you a chance to just give him a no-trade clause, because he's right. You've gotten rid of how many GMs? I've been calling for Breslow to get his ass fired, because you've brought in bozos and bums and morons who know how to read this computer screen, but they don't know how to see what's going on the field. And trust me, Craig Breslow is more of one of these than he is an actual baseball player. Like, let's be real here. So it's ridiculous. And then you have AJ Pierzynski talking about how the Red Sox, again, lie through their teeth. You have Jared Carrabis talking about how Bregman gave him a shot, wanted to stay in Boston. But we used Bregman's love of Boston against him, and it pissed him off. And not for nothing, I agree with Bregman, because they are that freaking cheap, and they are that freaking stupid. It boggles my mind. And you know what? I will keep saying it until I'm blue in the face. I know better. I 100% know better. But every single year, I'm going to listen to what these guys say. I'm going to break down word for word what they say. And I'm going to sit there and have like a 1% chance that we're going to actually sign this guy, that guy, and that guy. Because Breslow himself said we needed a number 2 starting pitcher and a power bat on top of bringing Bregman back. And what do they do? Nothing. They make a joke out of it. Now, Ranger Suarez ain't a bad signing as your number 2 guy, but they did that in response to Alex Bregman. 1,000%. They were getting railroaded, and rightfully so. And they should still get railroaded for their ineptitude, for their pettiness, for their cheapness. Because, not for nothing, where's that money going to go when you're gone? You're not going to have it with you forever. The fact that they're that cheap is still mind-boggling. It's something I'll never get over. They sold on Mookie Betts. They traded Mookie Betts. They traded John Lester. They they let Xander Bogaerts walk. Traded Devers, which, oh yeah, by the way, where did all that money go, Craig? Where did all that money go, Sam? Where did all that money go, John? That's right, in your freaking back pockets. You didn't want to sell Rafael Devers and that contract just to free up cap space that you'd spend in the offseason. No. And who was one of the people to call that? Me. I said that right off the bat. It wasn't hard to figure out. The way this team has acted, history tends to repeat itself. And these clowns don't know how to spend money and don't want to spend money. And as much as I love the sport of baseball, I really hope that they go into a strike next year, because it is absolutely absurd to see how the Dodgers don't give a damn about spending money. They don't care about that. They're like, yeah, we will buy a championship team every single year. The Toronto Blue Jays are spending money hand over fist. And the Yankees are the ones kind of tailoring back, which is crazy. The Mets are another team that wants to spend hand over fist. And yet we're still stuck here. We're still stuck being Tampa Bay North. It's effing absurd, effing ridiculous. And if I've said it once, I'll say it again. John Henry, sell this effing team, you clown. Unbelievable. Yeah, you don't like the Red Sox. You don't like baseball. Sam Kennedy doesn't like baseball. None of them like baseball. They don't care. All I care about is that. And it's ridiculous. Which is why I'm not telling you not to go there. If you want to go there, have fun. That's your prerogative. But what's the incentive to go to Fenway Park anymore? Honestly. It's a joke. You spend the most money on tickets, on beer, on food, on it all. Fenway Park is the most expensive ticket for a family of 4 in Major League Baseball. And if it's not, it's top 3. Regardless, still, same thing. Most expensive ticket for a family of 4. Just for them to try and build your hopes up and then go out and sign nobody and let Alex Bregman walk for pennies. Because, God forbid, you put in a no-trade clause, which the man has freaking earned. And Alex Bregman was doing the right thing by saying, listen, I still want to be here, but I'm not stupid. And that after year 2, year 3, you're going to trade my ass. I don't want that. So give me the no-trade clause. The Red Sox ownership freaking sucks. Let me tell you. They're a joke. All right. One other thing. Careful, kid. They'll break your heart. They do every year, Lenny. They break my heart. The Red Sox break my heart every year. Always. Can't help it. All right, now we got a little Boston Bruins talk. What a game I was at against the Rangers, winning 10-2, doing something that the Boston Bruins haven't done since 1964, which is have 2 players score a hat trick in the same game. It was insane. It was awesome. Really fun atmosphere, really fun to watch. Obviously, Bruins are a great time no matter what. But a couple of things I want to talk about first is, of course, Zdeno Chara got his number retired, which I thought was awesome and absolutely deserved it. He was here with the Boston Bruins for 14 years, and he was the leader, the captain. He was fantastic. Led us to 3 Stanley Cup appearances, won 1, which we still should have won 2. I swear to God, Jordan Binnington sold his soul to win that one in 19. That's a whole different story, though. All right, moving on. The one thing I do want to say, as great as that ceremony was, as great as Andrew Ferentz as the MC, having a lot of people in the building. I can't believe Willie O'Ree showed up. That was really cool to see because his number should have been retired a long time ago. But they finally did it a couple of years ago. Unfortunately, he was dealing with some health issues. COVID was still a thing, so he couldn't fly out to see it personally. But he was there for the Chara induction. Fantastic. But as much as I have come on this show a number of times and railed against Don Sweeney and Cam Neely for the poor drafting, the bad trades, the bad, calls that they made in terms of trading Allmark to then, give in to Swayman's demands at 8 and 8 1/4. I thought that us booing them when they were introduced, when Chara thanked them personally, I thought was over the line. I didn't like that. I thought that, listen, as much as I can't stand them sometimes, and I will say it, I will be very verbal about it. I didn't think when Chara wanted to thank them, I thought it was a little tasteless, a little classless of us to bash Cam Neely, or boo Cam Neely and Don Sweeney like that. Because that's where I was looking at it going, come on. I get it. We don't like them, but Chara was thanking them in his speech. There's no need for that. You know, if they were being introduced, like being walked out like Cam Neely was walking out onto the ice prior, okay, then fine. Boo him there. But the fact that the man of the hour is thanking them and you're booing them, to me, I felt like that was a little classless. And I thought that we're better than that. I have you didn't have to cheer for him. That's fine. Don't cheer. I'm not saying that you should cheer. I'm just saying when Chara was talking, I didn't think you needed that. I thought you went a little too far. And again, it was only boo, so it's not that big of a deal. I'm not trying to make it a huge thing. I'm just saying I thought it was a little classless. But the other part of that, I got me thinking, is who from this era deserves to have their number raised? Obviously, it's Chara. Obviously, it's Bergeron. And then I think there are really only two other guys that you can raise to the rafters. Or no, excuse me, not two other guys. I think there's two guys that are probably worth the biggest discussion over. Because Lucic is not a guy you raise into the rafters. Tuukka's not a guy you raise into the rafters. Timmy Thomas, no. Seidenberg, no. Boychuk, no. Like, so many guys. Ferentz, love him. The bird to Montreal, fantastic. But he's not a rafter guy. It's really between, I think, Brad Marchand and David Krejci. Now, I have heard the argument for Krejci. I have heard the argument for Marchand. And I've heard the argument for neither, which I found probably the most interesting of the three. Ultimately, though, if I had to pick, I would have to go with Brad. I think Brad Marchand should have his number retired before David Krejci. Do I think it'll happen? Nah, maybe. But I thought that, the Bruins did the right thing in trading him. And we helped his ass out by sending him to friggin' Florida. So let's not, forget that. Then he did the one thing that I was very thankful for, which was he didn't sign with the Maple Leafs. If he signed with the Maple Leafs, I would have been so pissed. Would have absolutely lost it. But he stayed in Florida, which I don't mind. Again, Florida's not a team I really care about, that much in that way. Toronto, I care about. Montreal, I care about. New York, how can you not? It's friggin' New York. Florida, listen, they're getting their 15 minutes of fame, and that's it. Okay? Yeah, they'll win their couple cups. Big deal. But you know what? The rivalry between Boston and Florida, yes, as I've said before, they took down our best team ever. Yes, it stung. It hurt. It sucked. Not going to lie to you. But I just don't see it the way I see Montreal, the way I see Toronto. I look at Florida like they still have a hard time selling out their stadium. They're a joke of a franchise. I'm sorry. It is what it is. I got no problem with it. Like I said, they have their 15 minutes. It's going to be fine. And then within the next 3 years, they're gone. They're irrelevant again. All right? I mean, hell, they're dealing with a lot of crap right now because Bobrovsky freaking sucks. It was actually kind of funny. Bobrovsky did get into a fight last night. He actually came out. But Florida, as it stands right now, is second to last in the Atlantic Division. They are out of the playoffs entirely right now. So, if you hold a grudge against Marchand because he's playing for the Panthers, not for nothing, get over it. because we did him a favor. We gave him the opportunity to win his second cup. And again, I know it sucks. You know, he's not winning with us. I would have loved to have him win with us, play his career out here, and we're good. We're golden. But that's just not how it happened. We did the right thing. We got a future first-round pick out of it. Because we still need to sell. And that brings me to the next point is right now we're the number one wildcat team, number one wildcat seed in the playoffs. You know, we're fourth in the Atlantic Division. And right now, of course, we're down 2-0 to the frickin' Stars in Dallas. But this team has played a lot better. Has played a lot better than the last time I talked about the Bruins, where they were trash, where they were second to last, and by point recognition should have been last in the Atlantic Division. But we're such a fringe team right now that I still think we need to sell when it comes to the deadline. This time, we don't need to sell off major pieces. But I think if we could find a few ways to get some of these guys, like if we could sell off Victor Arvidsson, if we could sell off a couple of these pieces. Listen, they're good players. They've helped us out this season. No two ways about it. But I'm looking for the future. I'm not. It's not that I want to tank, but I think that this team is still not ready. And I know that the point is, getting the experience, that's how they'll be ready. Facts. They just have to play. They have to get the experience in order to be ready. I get that. But there's still things and moves that this team still needs to do in order to finally get over that hump to be a legit playoff contender. Again. And I feel like if we can sell at this trade deadline, which is coming up in March, we sell off here, we draft well, I think we have an opportunity to rebound and get going next year. I think our young guys, I love Fraser Mitten, I love Marat Nustadinov, all these guys who are coming up, making their game known. They're a lot of fun to watch, and this team is a fun team to watch. I'm not denying that. I'm just having a hard time wanting to sell out for this team right now. Wanting to sell out for this playoff run. We've already got several high picks based on what's been going on in the league already because of the trades that we made last year. Hell, we got a first-round pick that's, top 10 protected or top 6 protected from Toronto. And right now, Toronto is third in the Atlantic. Like, they're sitting pretty where we can just slide in and just be like, thank you. And then have 2 first-round picks. So, I'm enjoying this. I think it's going to be really fun. I think it's going to be a great game. Great game. Jeez, I'm thinking AFC Championship. But I like the Bruins. I think they're a lot of fun to watch. And I like the trajectory that we're on right now. But in order for us to be that legit contender, I think as long as we keep our picks, we make a few sales at the trade deadline, maybe acquire a few more picks this year, next year, and that, then we can move on next year, and that's when we can really just come back. Bam. 2 years, no playoffs. Okay, it sucks. I get it, but we're ready to go. This is the time. So, And we just got another comment, another Broncos fan. Oh, this is going to be fun. Broncos own the Patriots in the playoffs, and it wouldn't be the first time the Broncos beat the Pats with a backup quarterback. 2015 AFC Championship, Osweiler beat Brady. Actually, Josh S. Harris, you're wrong. Osweiler did not beat Brady in the AFC Championship game. That was Peyton Manning who beat Tom Brady in the AFC Championship game. And the only reason why you beat us is because Brady missed his target on that 2-point attempt. And Gronk kind of owned your ass. Yeah, no, we still lost, which sucks. And Manning then went on to beat Carolina and Cam Newton with that infamous Cam Newton wouldn't dive on the fumble play. Otherwise, AFC Championship, it's going to be ours. It's 100% going to be ours. Come on. I feel it. I feel it. The Patriots and the Boston Sports Summit are going to be at the Super Bowl. We're going to the Super Bowl, baby. Come on. It's going to be electric. It's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a good game. But I also wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots kind of run away with it. If they're able to figure out Denver's defense and able to move the ball up and down the field, again, the whole altitude thing is a major factor. I'm not denying that. The altitude, they're flying in on Saturday. They're not going to have a lot of time to acclimate, but hey, it's going to be a fun one. So Sunday, 3 p.m., you know where I'm going to be. Tune in. I'll see you guys there. Otherwise, thank you so much for tuning in to the Boston Sports Summit. I'm your host, Tim Barnett, and we have another semifinal championship game to watch in Boston sports. Let's go. Have fun, and I'll see you guys next week. Don't forget, by the way, like, share, subscribe, and Grid Network. Great group of guys. Great group of sports fans. So tune into them as well. All right. Peace out, and God bless. Thank you very much.